All right, everybody. Thanks for coming back. It's your crusty old crow back again with another one of the tactical perspective toy reviews on the G.I.Joe classified 6-inch figure line. I am the crusty old crow. This is just something I've been doing as a part of my hobby and deeply connected to my core interests and a lot of my childhood, as I was a massive Joe fan in the 80s as far as the toys were concerned. And I find myself going back there now as an adult again. So I really enjoy what I'm finding on these now much more detailed, much more articulate, and much more creatively crafted figurines. And their equipment is, I like some of the details they're throwing in. There's some familiarity I find with my military experience that I find in these figures, and that kind of just gives me a dopamine release of some sort when I see that stuff and I recognize it. So that's what these videos point out to do. There's a lot of video reviews for every one of these classified figures out there. There are reviewers much more dedicated to this than I, who will, they'll edit their videos. I do mine in one takes. They will have graphics and things like that, and links and things. I'm not there yet, guys, and I don't know if I'll ever get there. If I do, great, but this is how we do it right now. Anyways, when I do my reviews, I do them similar to them. I talk a little bit about the packaging these days. I try not to focus too much on it because it becomes redundant. After you've seen one package and you get the thematics of it all and you understand how they work, you don't need to dwell so long on it. And that's the same as the points of articulation. If you've never had a G.I. Joe classified in your hands, and you ever do get one, and it's been a long time since you've handled any kind of action figure, these are not the ones that you bought your kids when they were like 4 or 5 recently. These are significantly more improved than your standard figure. These are what they're going with on the market. Hasbro's nailed this, and just articulation is not an issue on these. These are very posable, diorama friendly, photogenic as hell figures. And if you have doubts, go see what some professional photographers do with this stuff. It's incredible. Anyways, so when I run mine, I do mine like a head-to-toe inspection, just like I used to do for the troops back in the day. And I point out the things that could be improved upon, or that were brilliantly included, or that I thought was a creative liberty that I liked or disliked. Maybe I bring something new to the table, and maybe I spot a piece of kit that somebody else hasn't necessarily understood what that was or why that was an important piece of kit. I will also sometimes bring up conversations that have happened on other reviews that I've liked, and I do watch a lot of other reviewers. I wouldn't say a lot, but I watch some very specific ones, and I'll mention the one that I'll be going back to a bit today at the end. Kyle Peterson, he's got his toy review. He does unboxings and just a natural in front of the camera. And he never says, and that is something I can respect. It's very difficult not to do that in front of a camera. So Kyle Peterson, he'll focus a lot on his wrestling figures, but he does amazing G.I. Joe unboxing reviews and whatnot. He'll talk about the market as well, what Hasbro may or may not be up to. He'll share his theories, he'll share his thoughts, and he'll share the fact that he doesn't know everything. Sometimes he'll have a detail or something that he likes, but he doesn't necessarily he doesn't know why sometimes it's there, and or maybe he just has the wrong understanding of what that is sometimes. And that's a very human thing, and that's what I like about that, because what Kyle does is he lends to a conversation, a back and forth with his fan base, and I think that's important, and that's probably where he draws a lot of his interest with his fans from, is the back and forth that happens. Another guy I like to watch is Mark over at Saturday Morning Toy Collector. I believe it's Mark. He is another one that kind of introduced me to watching the reviews before I go out and buy the figures, key detail spotting. And when I watched one of his reviews, I watched how things go, and I said, you know what? Like, there's a lot more to be discussed with these figures, but he's got his time constraints. I keep mine at about a half hour, guys. That gives me more than enough time to blather on about what I think about a figure, or a memory I have about a person that it reminds me of. If you saw my last video on Sergeant Slaughter, there's a lot of different connections that play with these figures. There's a lot of stories that they remind me of. I do have severe ADHD, so my mind, I ruminate and I can draw back childhood memories like that and remember exactly how I felt with things. And G.I. Joe is a huge trigger for that. So that's how I run it. At the end of everything, I give these things a grade. I usually stick it to 2 grades. There's the playability grade. How much fun could you have with this? How posable is it? How cross-compatible is it with other products that Hasbro has put on that line? And then also I give it a tactical grade, just drawing from my military experience. Does this feel like a military figurine to me? Does it have the details I would want to see on it to say, yeah, that is a frontline soldier, second line soldier, rear party soldier, that's not a soldier? Or is there strictly just a lot of creativity and creative liberties at play? And how do I feel about that? Those are the grades that I'll give them, and it's like the older way of doing things, the A's and the plus minus systems. So I've talked all about that. I've explained how the format goes, and I'm going to add a couple of different things. I'm going to try to just add some stuff every now and then differently to the channels. You can see that I'm now talking in front of the camera before I show the figure, but that's one of the ads. But let's one of the very first things when I do my videos, they're based off the G.I. Joes that I've already bought, and the ones that I do buy that I like, but I don't leave them in the box when I come home. But I did today. I bought a figure today, and I did it because I've been thinking about doing it for quite a while. This is a very rough go figure. People don't seem to really have a lot of love for the figure. They love the character. There's nothing wrong with the character. It's just not, it's not the figure. And what it is specifically is the face sculpt. And of course, once I've said that, everybody knows I am talking about Falcon. Okay, there you go. So Falcon, if you look, this is the box. I just picked him up about an hour ago at the Toys R Us near my place because I just didn't feel like driving around looking for any kind of fantastic deals. I do get my military discount there. If you didn't know and you're a veteran, you do get 10% off at Toys R Us in Canada. At least you do in Ottawa. And I think you did in Edmonton. Anyways, you got your side art, you got the icons, you look these up on the website, they'll give you the explanation of the character. Every box has a different set, right? In my last video about Sergeant Slaughter, I did talk about one thing that I wish they would bring back, if not the file cards on the back of these, like they had back in the old 80s lines, was the concept of the proof of purchase code that would go right about here. It was a small rectangle near the file card, and kids, when we were kids, we would cut these out if we were also cutting out the file cards, and we would save these for the mail-in offers of particular kit and sometimes vehicles or characters that they weren't going to go on store shelves. These were Hasbro kind of scrap revenue or scrap plastic or who knows. I don't know what the marketing idea or strategy behind it was, but I thought it was a smart way to keep a tabs on how your product is doing by getting these proof of purchases mailed back to you and seeing just how many mailbacks you're getting every year. That's a good market indicator as well for that era. You got to remember, this was prior to Google and all these other internet bonuses. Like we were still discovering the internet, and it was about 4 feet long back then at best, right? So I would love if Hasbro revisited that. I did talk about that. I'm not going to dwell about it. Just offering maybe some buy-ins on special characters, some extra kit, face sculpts, whatever. Throw something at us, you know. I think it would go over really well with the collectors. It would continue to be a throwback to the highest point of the Joe era, and pay homage to it, right? And I think that's something Hasbro is interested in doing. Everything they're doing with Classified is an homage to the creators and the teams back in the 80s that brought this out. I plugged Netflix. If you have Netflix, check out The Toys That Made Us and watch the G.I. Joe special on there. It gives you the history and the creative balance with what happened with the characters, and it talks to the people behind the creative teams. And there's some sad stories to go with that, but there's a lot of respect dealt in that documentary towards the product and the creative properties, right? And that's what Hasbro has done here. So enough about that. I revisited that. Another guy that I have been watching a lot besides Articulated Ninja, who gives me great conversion ideas, and that is another reason why we went with this figure today, or I will tell you, I have a plan. But the last guy I wanted to mention is Tony over at Analog Toys. Man, do I ever have a lot of time to watch his stuff. I haven't seen that many of them, I won't lie. You know, it's not like I spend all day watching videos. But he is a fellow veteran. He's got the experience, he's got the eye for the details, and he's got the opinions. And usually what I'm finding is he and I are very like-minded. He did talk, in his last video, and he and I made the exact same comparison with this guy. And I didn't notice this till yesterday when I saw the video he was doing it on. I can't remember what the subject matter was per se. I think he was picking his top 3 favorite Joes. It was an older video. It was back when Croc Master was brand new and everybody was all about the Croc. And Storm Shadow was also, I think, brand new, but the retro card hadn't come out. Anyways, he had talked about Falcon's face briefly, and he had said something that I had said, I think, on my Recondo video when I was talking about how facial hair can cover a bad sculpt sometimes, and how all we're looking at here is a Willem Dafoe sculpt. Basically, it's that high cheekbone, long lip line that they've put onto this figure, and it doesn't work. And this is not a slam against Willem Dafoe. I just laughed when I heard Tony make the exact same reference, because then it just kind of validated what I was saying myself, and saying, you know, like, that's a very specific look, and it's got a place where it works and a place where it doesn't. On Willem Dafoe, it works because he's in front of a moving camera, and that camera is going to continue to film that face as it varies and ranges in expression. But try and find a photo of Willem Dafoe where he doesn't look like Nightmare Candy. Just a singular photo. Go down a Google rabbit hole and count them. And for every 10 photos, that is kind of going to go, yeah, if this was a dark alley, I'd probably piss my pants and run, creeped out, right? There's maybe 1 or 2 where they got him in a flattering picture, right? But the rest of the time, he's got a psychotic, reminding expression on his face. And that's not a slam against Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe, I think his looks and his expressions are just a part of the core of his acting and what you kind of want. That's how he draws you in, right? But an action figure can't do that. And Falcon here, now that I've got him open, he can't do that either, right? So if we look, I gotta move it a little bit back there. Maybe we'll shine a little bit of extra light on that. Okay, so with Falcon's face, if I'm looking at it, yeah, you can definitely make out the high, I'm sorry guys, I'm trying to get that in focus hard. Okay, I'm hoping that's in focus now. All right, he's got that high cheek line right here. The cheekbones are pretty accented, but they've really defined that. It's almost, oh, let me get my glasses on. See if I can see the word written on his face besides Dafoe. The guy's got a 30-year-old eye line and a 90-year-old mouth and cheek line, basically. Is basically what I'm seeing. And while they color the lips, it doesn't help hide it. Like, the lips seem very long when you do that to the cheekbones, and the lips end up out over here, almost like a Joker. Anyways, so that to me is a Willem Dafoe face. It's not anything against the sculpt artist who did this. I'm sure he's made others that have gone over very well, but this one just kind of, it didn't sit with a lot of the critics and the fan base, and we can all see why, I think. And if you don't see it, I'm happy for you. You know, the last thing you want to do is slam a figure you really want to be happy about, right? But when you pick up a detail on one of these, it is disappointing because you're really cheering for them, guys. You really are. You want it to be done right. I'm just getting the things untied here, and we will go through the figure head to toe. You know what? I think I just had a pair of scissors here, and I think we're just gonna work towards that half-hour goal, at least. All right, so we've got them out of the box. I do keep the boxes for the box art, and it is what it is. Some people like the box art, some people don't. I very much do. So talking about Tony's review on them, that was funny that we had the same idea. But I'm not going to dwell anymore on the face. It's kind of a made point, and it was made long before I ever addressed it. Okay, so enough on the face. The neckerchief, the scarf, it is a nice little detail I think they threw on there. It does remind me of, you know, working in kind of a jungle rainforest forestry kind of situation in a hot summer kind of thing. You want that to keep the sweat from dripping, and maybe keep a bit of the bugs off going down the back, you know, off your neck a little bit. With sweat comes shine, with shine comes detection, things like that, right? So no problems with it there. Would I have included this in this figure? I don't think I would. It doesn't really need it. It is a detail that they threw in, but there was other details I would have actually probably preferred they'd put the plastic towards, as opposed to the neck scarf. Going down, no problems with the articulation, and no serious visible gaps. It's the joints are pinless, you can't see the pins in the sides. If you look at some Joes, like the Destro, the Retro Destro, Sergeant Slaughter was another, you can see where the pins are. And that's the same with the knees. It's pinless. That's great. And, you know, he can do the Phelps going in the pool. Like, you know, he is fully... Actually, I'm happy with the articulation. I do find his knees to be a bit stiff right now. That's fine. Jump out of a couple of planes will fix that. Jump off a couple of labs will fix that. All right, so continuing down the line, he's got his web belt. Again, I love the web belt system. I mentioned that with the Stalker. It was a predecessor to the tactical load-bearing vest situation that you see on a lot of modern figures in a modern soldier, where they have like components that they all put onto what's basically a mesh vest with a zipper or Velcro, right? These are more like suspenders, and these were very versatile. I used them at the start of my career. You can see he's got his knife fixed there. He's got his Joe line communicator fixed to the top right shoulder there. Sorry, I'll turn it that way. There. I apologize, guys. It's hard for me to see where my camera is lined up from this angle. But anyways, Joe communicator, he's got that knife. It is facing up towards his face. You know, I would have liked to seen a switch from both up and down. But, you know, like being able to choose that. Just because I know there's a couple schools of thought on which way you put your blades is a lot to do with safety. And let's put it this way. Yeah, I'm not sure he's pointing it up towards the neck. If you're going to be jumping out of stuff, is not a detail I probably want, but I'm sure there's a lot of other guys that are jump qualified or infantry, maybe that would disagree. My bayonet was never kept up on my chest. They used to want us to keep it here. Mine was always down on my belt. I'm armored, so usually that was what we liked about the webbing when we were armored, is we could quickly throw it off, bundle it up in a little ball, throw it in the hatch next to our turret, like the bin, and not worry about it, right? And with load-bearing vests, that's they take up a bigger footprint. You can still do that, but not the same way and with the same convenience you could do with webbing. And you could modify webbing the way you wanted it, just like you could with the vest. Just I think the vest does it better now, right? So going down again, where is he? There he is. So you got that webbing, no problems there, but now you got this silver buckle. I do have a bit of a tactical issue with this silver buckle. He's wearing camouflage. He is keeping things done. So when I see silver on there, it's more like what I was taught when we got to Recce was basically you don't have silver if you're going to go creeping around in the woods. Right? And if you're there to sneak around, go get information and avoid detection. If you're doing anything covert, you don't want big shiny things, right? And you don't want things jangling off you, right? So no problems with the jangle effect. I mean, he's got nothing really dangly hanging off his webbing that could make a noise and clang around. That's good. But the silver, yeah, we would blacken that. Either we would take it home, spray paint it black, or burn it, like burn shine it, like get soot on it, dirty it up, whatever you did, shoe polish, you just didn't want silver, right? So every time I see the Joe communicators on these guys or a silver buckle and I see them wearing their camo, I'm kind of like, nah, I don't like it. But it's not enough for me to even lose one iota of faith or respect to the figure and what was accomplished with these. Okay, so he's got his sleeves rolled up, right? It's kind of funny. That is Joe privilege in the Canadian Forces. Either it's summertime and, he's from a unit that respects the freedom to do that stuff. But there are units out there that, your sleeves are only up from this date to this date. And if it is the day after this date and I see you with your sleeves up, I'm going to correct you and you're going to roll them down. And so that's fine. Just a fun little detail I like to bring up about this rolled up sleeves is, you had to be one of those guys to be able to get away with it, right? Either you were a part of an infantry unit that always did it and there was no correcting it anymore, or you were high enough up or somewhere where people just said, no, we're doing it our way, right? And sleeves up when we want. So I just like pointing little things out like that. I have no problem with the cat pat. The texture of the pants is a different texture than the shirt, which is good. It's one of those little details you go, oh, they are paying attention, right? Back in the day when you got an action figure, his shirt was as smooth as his pants. There is zero texture to these figures to denote what a fabric was. But on this, you can clearly make out like this is like probably a cotton or a polyester type shirt. But you've got these textured pants and you can tell that these are more thick, rugged, cargo type pants with the pockets, and you can see I don't know how well they show up, but you can see the rigidness detail of the pants, right? Denoting that it's a thicker mesh. He does have the gaiters on the lace protectors on his boots there. I've spoken a little bit about that on when they don't make sense, when they do. For him, I suppose they make sense if we're looking at this guy as a jungle trooper that might be wadding through a bit of moist leaves and stuff like that. Maybe it'll help keep his socks drier for a bit. It'll help keep bugs out of his laces for a little bit. But I don't really care for that detail. I like seeing the laces, guys. I do. It's just one of these preferences. Whatever. I don't think Hasbro cares. I don't think you care. But I'm just letting you know what I care about. He's got that nice green watch. Zero shine there. Like, tactically, we're good to go there. So I'm going to put him off to the side. Up here on my recent base, if you guys haven't picked up on this, with retirement comes a lot of time on my hands, so I decided to make some sets for when I do this stuff. So this is the Cobra Viper Island set that I made. I did have a separate video on that if you are checking it out, and basically it's up there. Anyways, so here he goes. And we'll put him right there, kind of hanging out by the tree. Hey, ah! Sorry, that did not sound like Don Johnson falling at all, did it? I don't know. How do you do a Don Johnson impression in this day? I'm not really good at them. So yeah, that was one thing I was going to mention about it. Jeez, I should have put a base for him down there. That would have been easier for posability. Anyways, stand up. Good. Attention. Anyways, so we talk about the 80s cartoon for a second, and we talk about Don Johnson, because that is who voiced Falcon in the cartoon. And I realize some people out there may not remember or been old enough really to remember Don Johnson was relevant for quite a while. I can't remember, was it Melanie Griffith he was married to? She was a relevant actor from the 70s, 80s, 90s. But Don Johnson was kind of the Dwayne Johnson of the 80s, right? So he was big,
He was kind of a sex symbol. He made pink cool before any woke culture even made acceptance an idea. Don Johnson was kind of the man. And so Don Johnson doing his voice for Falcon was a big hit back in the day, right? For driving that movie to get a better audience. Not a better audience per se, but to have an audience, you know, lend credibility to the movie so the audience would feel more comfortable seeing actors in this cartoon voicing characters, right? That's what's going to draw them in. So yeah, Don Johnson did a good job. So now I'm going to open up the kit. This video is going to go just a little, probably over 30 minutes, and that's fine. But I'm going to tell you there's going to be a follow-up video for this one, guys, because I do have plans for Don Johnson here for Lieutenant Falcon. And he might not look like Lieutenant Falcon when I'm done, but it is what it is. I'm not happy with the face, and I bought him with the express idea that I was going to fuck around. Pardon my language, but that's what I'm going to do. He does come with this nice backpack. This is an important piece to me. This is like 30% maybe of why I bought him, despite having the dual canteens that, as Tony pointed out on his review, they may be missized, but they do kind of actually do look like the ones we have in Canada. So I don't necessarily agree about the size. I do think they're about, well, yeah, they are a bit small. Maybe he's right. Anyways, I got this because I needed something for my breaker. So as much as I want to set this, and I'm going to set this down by his feet, just understand I don't think I'm keeping that with that figure because breaker seems so empty without it. He's got this nice beret. Man, did they ever do these new headpieces right where you could remove it? I don't know why they didn't do it for like Copperhead or Barbecue where they could take the alternate heads, but just having alternate heads and having a good beret sculpt, right? So here's a military thing for you guys that are wondering, okay? Up here in Canada, we have a rule about our berets. Now, this is not a Canadian soldier, but I'm just going to show you. All right, with us, our cap badge lines up with our left eye, okay? And you leave one finger length at a minimum, you're supposed to, or if I remember the regs correctly. And they might have changed in this new era, it's fine. But it was one finger length above the brow, right? So this was the way our berets would fit, okay? I see guys, they like them either like that, or like that, or right down like this. Right? And, if you do that in my regiment lines, you'll be corrected every time, right? So don't wear your beret like a putz. Wear your beret like a soldier, right? So just in case anyone's never actually been in the army, and that's fine. That's kind of how it worked in Canada. All right, talk about this knife, guys. I love this knife, but again, it's silver. But a little detail to point out. Right, it's got it's definitely a survival knife, but it's got some functionality to it, not in play per se, but just in some UFI. If anyone doesn't know what UFI is, just Google it, because it's useless and I'm not going to include it here. Anyways, you see this little ridge in there? That's your wire cutter, guys, or your can opener, right? So just seeing a knife with a different blade shape and everything like that shows that they are acknowledging there's a wide variety of military type of knives, and it's nice that they're showing us kind of the range, right? And it gives you the ability to maybe prefer one knife over another. I'm just looking to see if there's a spot to go on his figure about it. I don't think there is. I think it's just on the backpack, hey guys? Yeah, there it is. So that slides into the backpack. So clearly, if I'm going to not have Falcon with his backpack radio, then I've got to come up with a solution for that knife. And that's fine. I don't mind committing to that as an idea. All right. The last piece that everybody kind of, I like it. But again, lastly, I'm not trying to focus or obsess on Tony. But Tony had an opinion about the shotguns. And I was a fan of this shotgun, and I am a fan of the shotgun, but I'm wondering if this is just a difference of opinion based off of our individual experiences, I guess. But I think this is a great shotgun. I'm not versed in the types of shotgun. If this is a Remington, I don't think it's a Spas. Ithaca, maybe? I don't know. Anyways, it's got that really good articulated pivoting stock, right? So, excellent. And if this works well on his character, it probably works even better on other figurines, right? And it's got the 3 shells stored in the butt. Just a nice little ad in there. Very tactical candy, per se. I don't deal with shotguns. I didn't deal a lot with shotguns back in the day, but I do like that they offset it with that nice wooden pump for stock there. And I think the shotgun's great. Now, what I was talking about was over at Analog Toys on the video I was watching, there was a mention how much Tony dislikes the shotguns in G.I. Joe. And I understood why. Guys, it's not a go-to weapon here. A shotgun doesn't make a whole lot of tactical sense for most military combat situations. Watch a World War I movie, World War II movie, and ask yourself how many of these guys are carrying around a pump shotgun or a shotgun while they're fighting in a trench or crossing an open plain or any of that stuff. Shotguns are like a special tool. They're more of a tool than they are a weapon, okay? We don't use them for just like, hey, let's go patrolling in the woods, and if we have a chance, close contact, we're gonna, let's pick shotguns today. Sounds like fun, right? Definitely not a good recce idea to have. Like, it depends on your mission, but I didn't use these in reconnaissance. Like, we had them in our squadron lines. I did get qualified with them, and we did have access to them when I was with what was called an assault troop. Okay, and that's this hat, by the way. So basically, assault troop was basically armored infantry, kind of pioneers. We'd get qualified on some basic demolitions, C4, mine clearance, things like that. And we would focus on our section attacks and room clearances and things like that. Ambush techniques, and hydraulic tools, chainsaws, all the cool stuff, right? Sounds really cool. Wasn't in practical application when I was a part. I didn't do 90% of the cool stuff, but we were still assault troop, and that was fun. We had a lot of fun. Anyways, the point being is we were going to go with shotguns, at least 1 per troop. These are good for breaching. These are good for some urban ops room clearances, in that, a barricaded door or a locked door, shotgun, some buckshot for room clearance, whatever, you could justify it. But when you look like Falcon and clearly you're just for patrolling and jungle combat and jungle patrol, like, he does look like he's dressed for covert patrolling, being the Green Beret, I think he is. I don't necessarily agree with him with having a shotgun as opposed to a submachine gun. And if he's going to have a shotgun, gentlemen, ladies, he has to have a sidearm, okay? I am better off with him having a pistol than I am with him just having that shotgun. To me, once that shotgun has a jam or he's run out of big lunky shells for it, between putting down the day pack and pulling out a box of shells again, you want that sidearm to keep yourself protected, right? And he doesn't have that, and I think that was a lack, and that's where I would have liked the scarf to go. Anyways, that's all about Falcon on that. That's all the kit he comes with. I do like the rope on the backpack. Grade wise, playability, I give him a B minus because the lack of pistol. The scarf just kind of flops around and doesn't contribute, I don't think, really much to the figure as far as sensibility. Yes, it's a real thing. Guys do wear them from time to time, but no, it's not play friendly, I don't think. I would just keep it off, but I'm going to leave it on because that's how he is. And when I do my conversion with him, I'm hoping maybe that makes it work more. Guys, if you like it, apologize, but I'm not a fan. Overall, tactically, I give him an A minus. The shotgun, I think, and the lack of sidearm is kind of silly, and the silver, A minus. Anyways, that's it for Falcon, and Dudes, dudettes, I promise you, I'm about to sit down with a bit of this stuff. It's called green stuff. It's a yellow and blue putty you mix together to make green, just like Sesame Street taught us. And then it air hardens over time. And I've been softening this up as I've been talking. We're gonna go with some sort of facial fix for Falcon, and it's either gonna improve or ruin the figure. And I don't mind either result. It's not like I'm gonna be throwing him in the garbage or scrapping him out for parts. I'll be trying some stuff with him to try and make my my dislike of the pick of the facial sculpt more tolerable. And again, if anybody here is related or obsessed with Willem Dafoe and is taking offense to this or whatnot, that's not the intent of the discussion. Like I said, he is a snapshot of terror. Okay, but overall, big deals. Guys, that's 35 minutes. I apologize. Next time will be shorter. I just want to plug out one thing in the background. If you're listening in the background, I thought, you know, what else can I do with my time? So I am hoping the mic isn't drowning this out. And if you're noticing, there's some music playing in the background. This song is called Honey You. It's by the band Dead South, who are out of Regina, Saskatchewan, and have been just blasting my ear holes with wholesome goodness the whole time for the last year. Quite honestly, if you're ever in a bad mood and you want to have your spirits lifted, listen to Dead South. If you're ever in a great mood and you need to bring yourself down, don't picture dead puppies. Listen to some Dead South. These are very talented guys, and you'd be amazed if you ever watched how these guys operate. So at the end of each video, every now and then, if I remember, I'm going to play either one of their songs or some other Canadian artist that I'm a big fan of, just to share it with you. Why? Because it's my damn time. All right, guys. If you like this video, don't forget to hit like. If you are a big fan of this, please hit subscribe. And I appreciate everyone out there who took the time to watch this one today. And we'll see you next time for another one of the Tactical Perspective Toy Reviews.